Hi guys, welcome to Newcastle Fans TV. So we had a bit of a fuck up tonight with the stream because of the Wi-Fi here. I was at work for probably just over half the stream, but not to avail. We talked about the Premier League and the results of this weekend, so here it is.
Bournemouth are in the top four. Well, they were before Arsenal won, but Bournemouth are sitting pretty in the top 4 or 5 at the minute, Kyle.
Yeah, they've had a cracking start, and I actually watched the game on Friday night, and I thought Southampton's defending was very poor, really poor, especially the first goal from the corner. Nathan Ake, the smallest centre back in the game, winning a free header at 10 minutes in. Really poor defending. And then the second one as well, they were very lucky to get away with the Oscar as well. They could have found themselves 3-0 down within 25 minutes. Southampton, they nearly had as bad a start as Watford did.
If you want to contact the show, this is the final chance that you can do that. Contact nftvstudio@gmail.com. If you want to ask us about Premier League predictions, that's what we're talking about, the Premier League. You can, like Bournemouth and Leicester, break the top 6. We'll discuss that near the end of the show. Lee, can Bournemouth be the surprise package this season? We've talked about Leicester, we've talked about West Ham, but Eddie Howe always seems to do a very, very good job with Bournemouth in the Premier League. Never really in relegation bother.
The answer's no.
Why?
I think over the course of the long season squads play, you always see one at the start of the season, possibly two, hovering top 6, top 8. And then gradually the league starts to take shape, what you would expect. Yes, Leicester a few years ago was the exception, but the only other team you probably think is Leicester for me. I think that's the team, ironically, we have them next. I think that's the team going forward. I think they're better than Man U going forward. I think defensively, both teams, Man United and Leicester, are suspect, but going forward, I think Leicester are a real threat. I think Brendan Rodgers is slowly, another transfer window, maybe another one, have a better side, but I would probably say Leicester. I don't think Everton will, but I think Leicester are the ones who are you going to be. You might not even say it's a surprise. You might expect them to try and get in that maybe top 6. Top 4 might be a push, but top 6, definitely, because Chelsea in transition, Man United just don't look the side that they were. Arsenal, you just don't know what you're going to get. Spurs are a little bit wobbling all over the place. The top 2 are the top 2.
One team that will definitely not be in relegation bother will be the champions, Manchester City. It was just 8-0 against Watford. On Saturday, I think it was 4-0 after 15 minutes, and it was 5-0 after 17 minutes. Kyle, it's just ridiculous, isn't it? Like I've got Aguero scoring. Not Aguero scoring first. It was David Silva scoring first after a minute. Aguero then scored from the penalty spot. Mahrez then scored from a free kick. Otamendi getting on the score sheet. Bernardo Silva scoring a hat trick, and then Kevin De Bruyne with the last goal to make it 8.
Just casually 8.
Just casually 8, and
I mean they've scored more goals in 17 minutes than we have currently already this season. So I mean, I'm not comparing us to Manchester City in any way, shape or form, but to score 5 in 18 minutes is very impressive, and I think they did more in 20 minutes than the current Premier League record for a lead at half time, if I'm wrong, correct?
Yeah,
I'm wrong.
Biggest lead after 20 minutes, I know that.
Absolutely superb from them. It just shows how capable of just absolutely demolishing teams.
If you're just watching on the stream, apologies for Lee's facial reactions when he's trying to change the camera. Just caught in the
Proper technical issues, the need.
Talking about technical issues would be Watford's defending, Lee. What did Quique Sanchez-Flores expect by going the way he did?
First of all, why did they sack Grazia? Because I think he did an alright job. I know they're on a poor run. I said this a couple of weeks back when we drew them. VAR actually screwed him over, because we shouldn't have scored that goal, and if he wins that game, they still have the same manager. Look, is it going to be another defeat? Yes, of course, they're playing Man City, but the manner of the defeat was a little bit embarrassing. Yes, it's emphatic from the City side, but
yeah, it's like if you come away from the Etihad with a 2-goal defeat, you can still come away.
It's pride, isn't it?
Yeah.
But 5-0 doing after 17, 18 minutes, man.
Imagine travelling all the way up for that. You'd be sick of your life, wouldn't you?
I mean, we've got to get in the
I know, yes, I'm not going to count my chickens yet, because if it's 12 or 13, I think it'll be a good result.
Yeah, well, I'm looking forward to that game.
But they leak too many goals.
They do, definitely. Burnley got a win at home at Turf Moor. 2-0 win over Norwich. Chris Wood getting both the goals. His first 2 goals of the season.
Oh, Norwich. They're just a team that They frustrate me. I don't like them personally.
Why do they frustrate you?
Norwich are literally the only team that could possibly one week beat the best team in the world and then the next week lose against Burnley.
That's something like we would do, though.
That's a very Newcastle thing.
No, it's a very Norwich thing.
It's a very Newcastle thing.
It's the reason why I don't like them.
But these are the sort of results you expect Burnley to get, Kyle, don't you? Because Sean Dyche has got it in their side now that we can get these sort of results because everyone will expect Norwich to get something after beating Manchester City last week.
It's a really good result for Burnley, and I think it's actually went quite under the radar in terms of like the Premier League results over the weekend. And that's what Burnley do. They just plug away and they keep as many points as possible to stay in the league. I don't see them repeating the amazing season they had a couple of years ago where they finished 7th, but they'll just keep plugging away and they'll be a mid-table team, no problem, I think, Burnley.
Yeah. I like Sean Dyche. I think he's good for the Premier League as well, his character.
I think he's very underrated, personally. Very underrated.
And he's
Thank you very much, Jonny.
And he does have one of those voices where you might ring like one of these like adult chat lines and hello. He's got one of those. Like,
speak for yourself.
Right, dig a hole. Dig a hole.
Don't know what you're on about. Never.
No, he's got a very. I could see like a woman going, "Ooh, he sounds, you know."
Like he needs a cost.
Lady, you've got that shovel so far down.
Right, move on. Right, forget it.
But it's funny as you mentioned that it's a typical Newcastle thing to beat maybe Manchester City and then lose to Norwich. It was actually a famous quote by legendary darts commentator Sid Waddell. He said Newcastle could go and beat Barcelona on a Monday but lose to Blythe Spartans on a Tuesday. And I think he's quite right there. Talking about a team that won, and that is Sheffield United, a very impressive 2-0 win at Goodison Park over Everton. An own goal from Yerry Mina and Lee Mousset, if that's how you pronounce it. Lise Mousset. Yerry Mina own goal after Jordan Pickford and his little arms couldn't reach a corner.
Ooh, Jonny with a dig.
Ooh, Jonny, that's not like you.
It's not like Jonny. Go on.
Is he upset you or something?
No.
He has, hasn't he?
Unfollowed you on Twitter.
I don't have that many followers. But
suit yourself. I mean, Jesus only had 12.
Well, there you go. But VAR came into this game for the first goal. Lee, for Jordan Pickford's error, which the ball just cannoned off Yerry Mina. But the one thing I would like to say is Chris Wilder's doing an exceptional job with Sheffield United. He's playing the same way as they did in the Championship, which they got credit for, and they're getting surprise results, especially against Everton at Goodison Park. I don't think many people would have thought Sheffield United would get all 3 points.
The one game you want Everton to win.
And they do that.
And they do it. Great. So Sheffield United, sorry.
I've done that this show, you know.
Nearly said the swear word, said 3/4 of the word there.
Paul will be furious.
Yeah, the B postcodes. So, going back to your question, I remember you were sitting in this seat, Jonny, and you were championing Chris Wilder for the maybe possible getting the Newcastle job. I was like, nah, you're not leave Sheffield United. You want that season in the Premier League first. And at early days, they've started bright. They have they remind me of a more expansive Brighton to some extent, where they'll go guns blazing. But
we don't play expansive football.
No, we don't. But Brighton are, and they remind me very similar. Small team, although Sheffield's actually bigger city than Newcastle, believe it or not. But he's doing well. Local lad, he's got his heart in his right place. The question is, are you going to ask me, will they stay up?
Will they stay?
No.
They've got a better chance than us.
Right now,
because
I said Sheffield United, I said who else?
Brighton.
I said Brighton, and I said Norwich.
Yeah, so did I.
So those were the 3 clubs
that
I said would go
a
down.
team you took to go down.
Yeah, but it's only 5 or 6 games in.
Got 78% possession at St James's Park yesterday. I'm concerned.
But you would have said Brighton surely at the start of the season.
I did say Brighton is one of the teams to go down, which is why I'm all the more worried.
Definitely. Leicester beating Tottenham 2-1. We've touched a lot about Leicester, Rob, but a disappointing defeat for Mauricio Pochettino. Harry Kane getting on the goal sheet, but
somehow, I mean, did you see the goal?
It was a very good finish, but Rob,
brilliant,
dropping points again. Spurs, they're just Spursing things up as normal.
Oh, you sound like Arsenal fan TV there.
Yeah, well they are on this, but they are. At the minute, they've dropped so many points, especially against Olympiacos as well. And
yeah,
it's not good for them at the minute, is it?
One thing I'm quite surprised about is that Pochettino. I mean, there's been no sort of publicity on pressure on Pochettino I think he must be really feeling it. I mean, I know they thrashed Crystal Palace last week, but that was their first win since the opening day. Bottled it in the Champions League, or bottle and Hotspurs as a
bit of disharmony with Ericsson.
Yeah,
the Tongan was another one who was going to go out the door.
Pochettino, he just doesn't seem that happy. The squad seems to lack a bit of in harmony. I think they need a bit of a shake-up if they're going to try and hit the heights that they used to hit.
For me, Rob, is that they've got a great first 11.
But after
that, you look at that bench and think,
that's more.
Can you rotate? They can't rotate as well as like a Man City, or even some people might say Liverpool and Man City, or like Liverpool have a great 11, but they don't have the squad bench.
That's a great comparison, actually. You take for example the Man City squad. The 30-man Man City squad. Every single one of them could arguably fit into our first team. But you take Tottenham's bench, take away their starting 11, their best 11, their bench, how many of those could fit into Newcastle's first 11?
Do you reckon?
7 subs.
Really?
6 or 7.
I'm not a fan of Harry Winks, to be honest. I don't really.
I think he's all right. I think you'll get an.
He's not bad.
Shelby.
He's not bad. But to be honest, I'd prefer Longstaff and Hayden.
It's a valid point.
I mean, it's valid, but he's close to the first team.
Yeah, get your thoughts on that as well. If you're watching this on Facebook, for example, if you think Harry Winks isn't as good as a
right, just touch on. Sorry, Johnny, interrupt you on there. If you mentioned the squad there, Rob, is if you look at Spurs' bench, they've only got really one probably outstanding player, and it's either Son who's on the bench. Lucas Moura finds himself on the bench quite a bit. Ericsson has recently. It's always one of them. Whereas you look at Man City, they have 3 or 4. Liverpool might have 1 or 2. So Spurs, all right, Spurs it up.
Yeah, definitely. We'll quickly mention Crystal Palace 1, Wolves 1 before we'll go on to the bigger games. Palace scoring after 46 minutes, just after the second half. Joel Ward's deflected shot from Dendoncker, wrong footing Rui Patricio and giving Crystal Palace the lead. But Diogo Jota's goal in the last minute of injury time gave Wolves a point. It was actually Adama Traore's cross, which wasn't dealt with by Joel Ward, believe it or not, and Diogo Jota managed to score from close range to give Wolves a point from the capital. All these games were played in London today. Earlier on, it was West Ham 2, Manchester United 0 in a very boring first half. Andrei Yarmolenko gave West Ham the lead after good football from Mark Noble and Yarmolenko working well together, scoring past David De Gea. And then just under 10 minutes from the end of the game, Aaron Cresswell scored a fantastic free kick, which David De Gea could do nothing about. So it means that West Ham move above Manchester United after that 2-0 win. Kyle, a lot of issues for Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, and just while we're having this ad break, I was just looking through the social media platforms, and Manchester United were losing. Phil Jones, who was above Ed Woodward at the game today, was saying sacked in the morning, and Ed Woodward turns around and says, "We're on camera, stop it." A lot of issues.
Why did you say that?
Generally said that. So there's a lot of issues at Old Trafford, Kyle. Manchester United look a completely different team at the minute.
Well, they do, and you look at the spending that they've made over the past couple of years. I think Sky Sports put a stat up saying they've only spent 100 less than Man City and I think it's Chelsea in the past couple of years, and for them to be that far behind the likes of your Man Cities and your Liverpools is an absolute disgrace. It really is.
By their standards.
I mean, Mourinho said a couple of years ago his biggest achievement in football was getting that Man United side the second, as long as two trophies, give or take the Community Shield with it. I agree with him. It is the biggest achievement in his career, because he hasn't had a team as bad as that in his entire career. You've got all these big names that they've signed since Ferguson left. Your Pogba's, your Alexis Sanchez. The names go on, but they just haven't delivered. Sanchez, they're paying 175 grand a week for him to be away from Man United. Like say Romelu Lukaku's and who haven't delivered, and they've pinned the hopes on Daniel James, Wan-Bissaka and Harry Maguire to come in.
The problem is with you, Kyle, is that you can't have instant success with youth. You've got to build it. I
mean, it trended on Twitter after the game that Ollie out. And I knew Man United fans would do this because they can be quite a fickle bunch.
Definitely. Will Ole be at St James's Park in 2 weeks, Lee?
I think he might have been drink driving, because obviously Ollie's been in the wheel, hadn't he? He'd be on the drunken wheel, I think. Yes, I think.
Was that an attempted pun?
No, it wasn't. I just think he'll be on the drunken wheel. I think. Will he be at St James's in 2 weeks? Yeah, I think he'll still be the pressure's massively on. I think he's probably the favourite to next go. He's got to be, and yeah, I think he will be. But December, no.
No. Rob, let's give credit to West Ham. A good win for them at home. Manuel Pellegrini, the former Manchester City manager, getting one over his old rival.
Yeah, well done to West Ham. They've been on a really impressive run since they had that disaster on the opening day against Man City. But since then, they've really plugged on. I don't correct me if I'm wrong, but I think this is true. Since that opening day fixture, they haven't lost a lead, or they haven't conceded to. They haven't been in a losing position rather since that opening day.
I'll take your word for it. I'm not 100% sure, but yeah.
I think I will check it when I get home. I've been keeping a record of that this season. But yeah, they've been really impressive, and losing to Manchester City is no mean feat at all. And so I think, yeah, they're well equipped to plug on here. And I think a top half finish is most definitely realistic.
Definitely. Let's touch about Arsenal versus Aston Villa. It was a fantastic game at the Emirates. Aston Villa taking the lead through John McGinn. McGinn will definitely not be in a Villa shirt for much longer if he keeps on playing the way he is. Nicolas Pepe scored from the penalty spot, getting his first goal for Arsenal to equalise. But Wesley, the summer signing for Aston Villa, gave Villa the lead straight away to put them 2-1 ahead. And then Callum Chambers made it 2-2 for Arsenal with just under 10 minutes to go, and then just a couple of minutes later, Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang getting...
Aubameyang did nothing wrong. Anybody who plays Aston Villa, I support that other team. Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, he did nothing wrong.
He didn't, and he got the decisive goal. Kyle, big win for Arsenal.
Big win for Newcastle.
Yes,
Yeah,
Kyle, yes. Lay into them.
Yes, big win for Newcastle. Let's touch about Arsenal. They needed to get that win to keep in touch with the top teams, really, didn't they?
Well, you look at the results, Johnny. Chelsea have dropped points, Man United have dropped points, Tottenham have dropped points. Huge game for Arsenal. So for them to pick up the 3 points, it's in terms of the top 4 race that we've discussed earlier on, that might be open to more than just a couple of teams this year. So yeah, massive win for Arsenal the weekend.
Aston Villa stay in the bottom 3 because of that result, Lee. Is it the fact that other teams aren't doing as well as us is the only reason why we're still above the bottom 3? Because I don't think we'll be above the bottom 3 for much longer if we keep on playing the way we did against Brighton.
I'm just pleased Aston Villa in the bottom 3. It's made my weekend.
As long as after 38 games and we're not.
I think if you average a point a game, I think that probably just keeps you up 38 points. We've got a tough run, but if Aston Villa go down, I'm going to be delighted. As long as we stay up, though.
Yeah, definitely. And just the final game, Rob. Chelsea 1, Liverpool 2. I watched most of this game before we came on the radio show, and I was really impressed with Liverpool, in particular Trent Alexander-Arnold. I thought defensively he was so much better. But he gets the first goal, Rob, with a fantastic free kick on the edge of the box. Mo Salah just doing a Norberto Solano Shearer type free kick, but it was just a back heel rather than a toe poke.
Yeah.
Alexander-Arnold rockets it in the top corner.
What a player he is. I think he's absolutely brilliant. He can really take a free kick. It's not the first time that he's absolutely knocked in a gem of a free kick. He can, but goodness me, he can cross a ball.
Can I tackle Jack Williams though, can he?
I think he's suspect defending, mind.
He had a better defensive performance today, I have to admit. He was up against Willian and Kovacic, and I thought he really held his own. But
he's only 21 as well. Still so many good years ahead of him, best part of the decade.
Yeah, definitely. But after VAR cancelled Chelsea's equaliser.
That was tight, mind, Jonny.
Attempted equaliser.
But it was the right decision. But Liverpool did make it 2-0 for Roberto Firmino from a Robertson cross, Kyle. 2-0 at Chelsea. Yes, Chelsea got one back through N'Golo Kante, but they still remain 5 points clear at the top. And against Chelsea, away at Chelsea, it is a fantastic result, especially with Man City winning so comfortably.
It is. Chelsea's one of them grounds where the champions have had to go to and do well. In recent years, Man City have done well. Liverpool have had an amazing start, and I watched them last week at Anfield, and I just think they're the best team in the world. Man City are good,
but in the world.
Yeah, I think they're better than Man City. I think that front three has so much firepower. They've got such a ragged midfield with full of experience and full of runners willing to run through walls for Jurgen Klopp, and I think this year is their year. I'm not going to lie,
I think we've heard that before somewhere.
We have, but
it's Liverpool's biggest test, and no questions were asked about Liverpool and this is the first one because they've been talked about on Sky. Carragher, Neville, the record against the top six was poor last season, but they've got to correct that, and they've done that. Went to Stamford Bridge, and they need more and more wins against the other five.
Kyle, but feel like this is the best chance that they have.
Yeah, definitely.
The
They've had a great start.
I think Man City want to win the Champions League this year more than they do the Premier League, and I think Liverpool want to win the Premier League more than the Champions League.
I think both teams will probably accept that.
Yeah, I think they're massive.
That could be a final waiting to happen, that City-Liverpool final.
Yeah.
And that's it. Thank you very much for your patience. Technology taking over the world. Definitely not here at Newcastle Fans TV. Let us know what you think in the comments. Ta-da.